the economy these days as telecommunications?
Thank you, Ian. I have to correct one thing. We are not the largest telecommunication in Thailand, but the second.
The statistics, right?
But yes, in the broadband area, we are the number one. How we see the middle class emerging in Thailand, we can actually look at the broadband penetration in Thailand. The broadband penetrations to the Thailand household, for example, now there are about 20 million households in Thailand, and the broadband penetration is now about 5 million, which is the white line broadband penetrations. But in the past couple of years, the 3G, and now it's coming into the 4G age, have increased the number of the broadband penetrations to close to 50%. And that is, in couple with the low cost smart devices that are coming into Thailand. So, in terms of the households income, we have about 5 million households which have the income over 15,000 baht. And that is roughly about 500 US dollars. So this is per month. And if you consider the middle class to be above, say, 10,000 baht, which is again around 10, 12 US dollars per day kind of income level, then you're talking about close to 10 million households in Thailand. So we can also see very clearly the urbanizations that are happening throughout the country. Our broadband, the fixed line, the wireline broadband penetration growth in Bangkok is close to 10% a year, and it has been very consistent in the past 3 years. But the upcountry broadband penetration and growth have been over 20% a year. And this, again, is a key indication where we see that there's a lot of constructions, a lot of people moving into the cities. I approve by myself all these housing estate projects, of hundreds of projects, per week. So this is, especially for the upcountry. So we can see that people are now, wanted to have a lifestyle which is certainly with the influence of the media, with the influence of the conveniences that are happening. People are moving into the cities. From the agro-based country like ourselves, you can see that migration, even as a telecommunication company. Beyond that, with the government policies in making this investment in the infrastructure, especially in the mass transit, which will be we're building this high-speed train and super high-speed train across the country. And the economic policy on the economic zoning, especially in the zone where we have the trade with our neighbors countries. This also will fuel the increase in urbanizations and the redistributions of income, moving from the coastline, up, in the north and the northeast area, which again have majorities of the population in Thailand. So it is very clear to us in the area of e-commerce, we also see a more than 25% growth annually. So we are still very far from the developed country. I think the developed country e-commerce trade compared to the retail commerce is about 7 to 10%. In Thailand right now we are about 0.5%, but the growth is rapid. So I think we are approaching the turning point because of the broadband penetration, because of the devices, smart devices that allow people to actually access mobile broadband and internet. This is actually shaping the country. I think we're looking at Thailand, which I could say that is represented big part of the ASEAN community. You're seeing that it's coming to the end of the ignorant kind of age. People are not living by themselves, in the sub-regions areas. So people are now going into this so-called the connected world. And it will not happen in the past where the 3G technology, the 4G technology, and especially the smart devices and price that have been coming down significantly in the past, I would say only 2 years. Now imagine if we say that large countries in the past would take say 20 to 30 years, some countries take 50 years to double their GDP. Okay, now the countries nowadays could double their GDPs much faster, and that's thanks to the global trade, the openness, and also to the communications technology, and how is the digital economy have more or less transforming the emerging market. So this is again another government policies thanks to our Prime Minister, our Deputy Prime Minister, who actually are pushing forward this policy on the digital economy. And I believe this would become the regional agenda, not only for the case of Thailand. Now, before we are living in an island, even though we have the trade and encouraging the free trade, but the so-called competitiveness KPIs for the country is not really open. Until now that we are now in the economics, the same economic zone, we start to compare notes. And I believe that will actually help accelerate the investment in the area of infrastructure going forward, and will help accelerate the transformation of the middle class.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Suphachai. Our second panelist is Mr. Khun, who is the President and CEO of Siam